YouTube, what is going on? It is your boy Sports Culture, and I'm back with another video here today. And in this video, it's going to be another 7-round mock draft for the GreenbayPackers. And we're about 14 to 16 days away from the NFL draft, so this is probably going to be my second to last mock draft for the GreenbayPackers for the 2025 NFL draft class. And I am on a new website. For some weird reason, dude, PFF is not letting me log in, even though I pay $25 a month for that garbage website. So it is what it is. I am on a new website here today. Hopefully it's, as accurate as PFF is sometimes when you make mock drafts. So let's get right into this video. If you're interested in more Packers related videos and just draft related videos for this year's draft class, please consider subscribing. But let's get right into this video. So here we are at pick 23, and I'm not going to lie, there is a lot of great players on the board. Walter Nolan did just get drafted right before us right now at pick 22, so it is what it is. Matthew Golden is on the board, and I think Matthew Golden, if we do draft a wide receiver in the first round, would probably be the guy, besides like a Tetron McMillan or even Jaden Higgins, if they do view Jaden Higgins as a true wide receiver one talent. But I think those are the three guys. And Matthew Golden, although he doesn't fit the height per se for the wide receivers or just the prototypical wide receivers the Packers look for, Matthew Golden, man, might just be one of the more impressive wide receivers in this year's draft class. Easily. I know a lot of people like to say he's the wide receiver one in this year's draft class, and I could definitely see that. I mean, this dude is a 3-level threat in terms of route running. He can do it all on 3 levels, has the speed, has the hands. I mean, this dude only being, 6 foot, 5'11", something around that range, maybe 6'1" at most, is a natural hands catcher and has the ability to jump out of the gym, high point the football, and come down with some really contested catches. A lot of people compare Matthew Golden to Stephon Diggs, and I do like that comparison a lot, don't get me wrong. But am I the only one that sees a little bit of Antonio Brown in this game? The way he runs his routes, especially when he uses leverage on like those deep comeback routes or those just stop routes on the outside. I mean, he just looks like Antonio Brown's, and the way he uses his feet, his hands, makes those toe tap catches on the sideline. I see a little bit of Antonio Brown in his game. I have yet to draft Matthew Golden, I think, in any of my mock drafts in the first round for the GreenbayPackers. And I think I'm going to switch it up. Last video of my last mock draft, I made a trade back. I got Luther Burden in the early second round, which could definitely happen in real life. I think Luther Burden falling out of the second round could happen. But Matthew Golden is a player that I think is definitely getting drafted inside the first round. It'd be rare to see him fall to the second round. And I think that's what I'm doing with this mock draft. So for this pick right here, I am going to go with a wide receiver, and you could call this unrealistic because the Packers haven't drafted a wide receiver in the first round in over, 20 years? I mean, it has been a really long time. But anything could happen. The draft is in Green Bay, and Matthew Golden is on the board, and they really think we need a wide receiver this year. Matthew Golden is the guy. I could definitely see it happening. Matthew Golden is definitely worth drafting in the first round, and this is a guy who I think comes in day one and potentially is the day one starter on the outside, especially with Christian Watson probably being hurt for most of the year. So with this pick, I am going with Matthew Golden, the wide receiver from Texas. So here we are, pick 54. I could have sworn this was pick 55. Somebody correct me in the comments. But I'm not liking this website at all. I should have mentioned earlier, too, I'm not doing any trades because I don't really use this website. And I don't like the trade system on this website, so I'm not going to be doing any trades. But this website's doo-doo, man. I mean, Darius Alexander still on the board, Siobhan Reveal's on the board, Jaden Higgins on the board, Princely Allen still on the board, and we're at pick 54. That's super unrealistic. I think all those guys are getting drafted early second round, maybe late second round with like Princely Allen, but Darius Alexander could get drafted in the first round, should get drafted early second round, same thing with Jaden Higgins. So with this pick, there is Siobhan Reveal Jr. on the board as well, but hear me out. If the Packers decide to keep Jair Alexander and we don't trade him away, I don't think the Packers will target cornerback as highly as some of us think. I still think they draft a cornerback, but I don't think they go drafting a cornerback super high like some of us think, especially if they do end up keeping Jair Alexander. So with this pick, I'm going with Darius Alexander. I have yet to draft him in any of my mock drafts for the GreenbayPackers, mainly because this guy does get drafted in the first round or the early second. And luckily, this website is not too good, and he's still on the board right here. This is a snipe. This is a steal. Darius Alexander is a top 5 defensive tackle in this year's draft class. The dude has a ton of upside, a ton of potential. He's a disruptor in the middle. Phenomenal tape. I know everybody talks about him playing at Toledo, not playing against, per se, the best competition, but phenomenal player. We've seen how good Quinyon Mitchell was for the Eagles. Obviously, 2 different positions, two different players, two different guys. But if Toledo's producing cornerbacks like that and Quinton Mitchell, why not take a swing on Darius Alexander, who's one hell of a player? So with this pick, I am going with Darius Alexander, the defensive lineman from Toledo. So here we are, pick 87, and with this pick, I am going to go with Jordan Burch, the edge from Oregon. This is somebody who definitely fits that 4-3 defensive scheme. This is a big dude at like 6'6", 270, 280 pounds. I wish this website was kind of like PFF, where you could click on their profile picture right here, or just their name and it show like their heights and measurements, but it doesn't. But this is somebody who is a big body dude. Gives you versatility not only on the edge, but I think also in the middle, just because of his size and his his big body. Has some really good hands, good hand placement. Is a little bit stiff at times coming from the edge, just because he's a bigger dude. But I like him a lot as an edge rusher, especially for this defensive scheme. Maybe not the like quickest get off in this year's draft class. Maybe not the best pass rush plan right now, but 6'6", 280 pounds, 270 pounds, has good hand placement. Has shown that he's not just a guy that has one move. Although the pass rush plan is not the greatest at times, I think he has a good amount of moves in his arsenal, and at times he does showcase it. But is a solid run defender, at times can hold the edge. Would like to see him use a little bit better angles. I don't know if it was just an Oregon thing, man, but like most of those defensive linemen, and they had a really good defensive line, don't get me wrong, but a lot of the defensive linemen on film took a lot of like over-aggressive angles. Same thing with Derek Carman. Would like to see Jordan Burch fix that up at the next level as well, but big body dude, just fits that 4-3 defensive scheme. It just makes a lot of sense. Is most likely, or is the best edge on the board as well, from all the edges on the board right now. So with this pick, I am going with Jordan Burch, the edge from Oregon. So here we are, pick 124, and I could be super unrealistic right now. I could select Jared Ivey, double down on edge, which is a thing I like to do in all my mock drafts. But Jared Ivey is a player that's gonna get selected inside the second to third round. I don't know why he's still on the board right here in the fourth round. This would just be super unrealistic. So I am going to go with a player that I think does get drafted and should get drafted around this area in real life, maybe a little bit earlier. That is Noa Williams, the cornerback from Cal. This is a guy I really do like for this defensive scheme. Really good zone cornerback. Just really good press cornerback, whether that's in man or zone. He's a really physical and big body cornerback at like 6'1", 6'2"-ish, around that height. Maybe even a little bit taller. I got to look at his things, but this is somebody that's very good at taking away the football. You talk about this Packers defense last year, one of the better defenses at taking away the football. Add a guy like Noa Williams, who I think has around like 15 to 16 career interceptions in his collegiate career. Sign me up. I mean, the dude's really good on the boundary. We need more boundary cornerbacks. Really good press cornerback, whether that's in zone or man, but just overall a really good zone cornerback, which is a huge thing for this defense because we played a crap ton of zone coverage last year. I want to say we were in the top 5, top 6 in total usage with zone coverage as a defense last year. So add another guy like Noa Williams who can play on the boundary, has the size, has the athleticism, has the ball skills, having over 15, 16 career interceptions in his collegiate career. And he also has special teams upside as well. This is somebody who could play, give us a punt return, kick return, ability, who knows. But I just like him a lot in the later rounds for depth. Like I said, if we do keep Jared Alexander, I don't think the Packers would be so aggressive to go out there in this year's draft class to target a cornerback, especially because we have Nate Hobbs. Carrington Valentine is only getting better. Keyshawn Nixon, I still think there is something with Kalen King. Maybe he's not a superstar player by any means, but he could be a guy that definitely gives us some good quality snaps. I mean, I just think if they keep Jared Alexander, they're not going to be as aggressive as some of us think in terms of drafting a cornerback in this year's draft class. So with this pick, we are going with Noa Williams in the fourth round. I think this is a phenomenal pick. I think this dude is a stud, and he just fits this defensive scheme very well. So here we are, pick 159, and with this pick, I want to get another wide receiver. I was thinking about getting another edge, but I think I could kind of hold off and get one a little bit later, and I really like the idea of doubling down at wide receiver and doubling down at edge in this year's draft class, especially because we're going to be needing some speed and just some more wide receiver depth this year. Christian Watson's going to be hurt, but we could definitely just add more competition in that room in general. And the guy I'm going to go with right here is Pat Bryant. This is a big wide receiver, solid route runner, maybe not the most explosive and over athletic guy in the wide receiver position in this year's draft class, but really good blocker. He's a grinder, really good hands. has the ability to high point the football in contested catch situations. But the one thing that I really do like about his game, man, is the hustle, the effort he gives you when run blocking. This is somebody who just feels like if the Packers do end up liking him and drafting him later on, he's going to be a guy that Matt LaFleur would kind of put into like that Alan Lazard role, where he's just the grinder of the offense, goes in there, play, makes the dirty plays, the picks and all that. And I think he'd do really good at doing that. Not saying he's not a good route runner and just wide receiver in general, because I think he's a solid one. But the thing that really just caught my eye when I watched this film was his run blocking. This dude was blowing up cornerbacks, coming downhill and crack blocking like linebackers and things like that, even edges. So with this pick, we are going with Pat Bryant, the wide receiver from Illinois, who is a solid wide receiver, but just gives us more depth in general at the wide receiver position room for this Green Bay Packers team. So here we are, pick 198, and I'm going to say it again. I said it earlier. This website is very flunky. I thought PFF was a bad website, but this website's probably even worse. In terms of value and players we're selecting, I think this is one of the best mock drafts I've ever done. We're getting a lot of good players, but this is super unrealistic. Some of these guys should have gone way earlier. With this pick, we're going with Sorrell, the edge from Texas. This is a dude that maybe doesn't have the most like explosive get off. Maybe he doesn't have that elite twitch and bend as some other pass rushers in this year's draft class. And I think his wingspan is a little bit on the shorter side, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's one thing I heard about him. But on film, when I watched him, man, he had really good like hand placement, had really good power in his hands, had a variety of like pass rush moves in his arsenal. I thought he had some really good effort, like a motor wise. He had a really good motor and just effort. Thought he was a really good like edge at holding the edge against the run. Played the run solid, but just like pass rush wise and like the cons about his game, doesn't have like that explosive get off. Isn't the most like bendy and twitchiest guy, and like his wingspan isn't like over the roof or anything like that. I think he's on the shorter side, but like I said, good effort, good hand placement, a variety of moves. It looks like on film, has power in his hands, just power in general. Second good effort, just motor in general. Just sounds like a grinder. Just sounds like another guy you could add into that pass rush room, into that edge room, which we definitely need some more talent. So with this pick, we are going with Sorrell, the edge from Texas, which is a guy that I think would get drafted way before, what are we in, the 6th round? Like, I think this guy gets drafted inside the first 4 rounds, 5 rounds easily. For him to be here in the 6th round is absolutely criminal. So with this pick, we are going with Sorrell, the edge from Texas. So here we are, pick 237, and with this pick, I'm just going to go, with these last 2 picks, I should say, I'm just going to go more depth on the offensive line. You could never go wrong with drafting more offensive linemen. We've seen what happened in that Philadelphia Eagles game when Alken Jenkins got hurt. We didn't have enough guys to step up. And just the overall protection for Jordan Love when he was throwing the ball just definitely seemed lower than what it was. So we're just going to add some more guys into that room. And one guy the Packers have met with, don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure they have met with him, is Dalton Cooper. This guy's like 6'7", 6'6", 315, 310 pounds. From Oklahoma State. He's a big offensive tackle. And like I said a couple moments ago, you could not have enough offensive linemen. We've seen what happened in that Philadelphia Eagles playoff game once Alken Jenkins got hurt. The pass protection and just overall play definitely was lower. And I know Alken Jenkins is a guard and played guard that game, and we're drafting a tackle, so you're like, what are you talking about? But you could never have enough guys. And I feel like this is a very versatile offensive line unit we have already. And if Dalton Cooper is just a guy that can play tackle at the next level, which I think he is because this is a big dude. Really doesn't, in my opinion, fit a guard profile at all. He's a tackle, thin and through at the next level. But I think there's guys we can move around. And let's say someone does get hurt again. We slide Dalton Cooper in at tackle. I mean, we have guys that can move in at guard, center, all over that offensive line unit. So with this pick, we are going Dalton Cooper, the big 6'7", 315-pound offensive tackle from Oklahoma State that the Packers have met with, if I'm not mistaken. And finally, here we are at pick 250, the last pick for this mock draft, which has been kind of unrealistic. Not kind of, but has been super unrealistic. And to end it off, we're going to go with Drew Kendall, the center from Boston College. Now, this is somebody who I think is very solid. I don't understand why he's a lower graded center in this year's draft class in terms of like projection in the rounds. I thought his film was solid. Now, he's not athletically the most given center, and I don't think his arm reach is anything like through the roof, like his wingspan or anything. But I thought he was solid, man. I thought pass blocking wise, he was solid. Run blocking wise, he was okay. Showed great power and just hand placement at times for an offensive lineman. I thought he was solid, man. I don't know his numbers in front of me, but I don't think he gave up that many sacks in his collegiate career. It just seems like a solid center. I wouldn't say he's going to be a starter in the NFL, but I think he should definitely be talked about a little bit more. And I don't think he's definitely a 6th to 7th round center in this year's draft class. That's just my opinion from the little bit of film I've seen on him. So with this pick, we are going with Drew Kendall, the center from Boston College, just to get some more depth in that offensive line room. So this is the mock draft real quick, and I'm not going to lie. Look, I said at the beginning of the video, this website is terrible. This is super unrealistic, but it is what it is. Until PFF gets me back into my account, hopefully that is later on today, tomorrow, so I can make another video. This is the mock draft. First pick, we did go Matthew Golden. We got an A for that. I think Matthew Golden is a phenomenal pick. Hate it or love it. You know, I don't think the Packers drafted wide receiver in the first round this year, but who knows? But if they do, Matthew Golden is the guy I'd probably want at pick 23. Darius Alexander, we got to pick 54. That's a snipe. Definitely is a guy that gets drafted in the first round or early second round. Phenomenal player. Jordan Burch, I pick 87. That's kind of realistic. I could see Jordan Burch falling around that range. I definitely think he gets drafted maybe a little bit earlier, but could definitely see him falling to pick 87. That's a phenomenal pick for this team. Noa Williams, I hope he's there. I pick 124 in real life for the Packers. This is a guy I really do want for this team next year. Pat Bryant, just a grinder at the wide receiver position. Really good pass block. Really good run blocker at the wide receiver position. Sorrell, just more depth at the edge position for the Green Bay Packers. It just has a good effort and motor with him. Dalton Cooper is a guy the Packers I met with. 6'7", just a big body tackle. And Drew Kendall is a guy that I think is fairly underrated in this year's draft class at the center position. So let me know what you guys think about this mock draft in the comments. Yes, I know it is kind of unrealistic. This is not how I see, guys like Darius Alexander falling in this year's draft class, or even like a Pat Bryant or Sorrell. But it is what it is. This website has these guys falling like that. I can't do nothing about it. But let me know what you guys think in the comments about this mock draft. It's been your boy Sports Culture. I'm out.